What is up, guys? I'm pumped to talk some Thanksgiving football. My favorite holiday of the year, Thanksgiving. You got football, you got family, doesn't get better than that. And then you also get some fantastic food. And obviously, it's going to be a slightly different Thanksgiving than normal years because 2020 is the worst year ever. But we still get football on Thanksgiving, so we got to be grateful for that at a minimum. Let's get off right away, starting with the first game of the day, which is the Detroit Lions versus the Houston Texans. Both these teams have very different storylines coming into this game. The Houston Texans are coming off their best win of the season against the New England Patriots. Their only non-Jacksonville Jaguars win this season. Yeah, they had only beaten the Jaguars this season. They've beaten the Jaguars twice, now the Patriots once. I think that game probably says more about the Patriots than it does about the Houston Texans, but they do have a top 10 offense. Deshaun Watson, to me, is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and he is ranked this week as Walter's number 2 quarterback of the week in Week 12. Will Fuller, by the way, he could go off in this game. Brandon Cooks and Kenny Stills both suffered injuries this previous week, and they're on a short week. They're playing Thursday early afternoon, so there's a chance that Will Fuller is really the only target for Deshaun Watson. He is in the 90th percentile range of outcomes. Will Fuller has the chance to get a 30 to 40% target share. He's top 5 upside this week according to the 10,000 simulations that we ran of Week 12. He has a 28% chance to go over 25 points. That's top 5 upside in Week 12. On the Detroit Lions side of the ball, they're coming off their worst game of the season. Matthew Stafford's worst game in really over a year and a half. He had under 200 passing yards, but it wasn't just Matthew Stafford that was struggling. They also averaged 2.3 yards per carry in their last game. The offense was absolutely abysmal. Listen to this nugget. They did not enter the red zone a single time in the whole game. Think about how bad you have to be in 4 quarters of football to not even enter past the 20-yard line the entire game. I mean, really one of the worst offensive performances I've ever seen. And Vegas is expecting them to bounce back. They are expected to get Kenny Golladay and DeAndre Swift back. I'm recording this at 4:30 in the morning on Tuesday, so we don't have the updated injury news for the video. But if they are back, that should be a boost for the offense. Matthew Stafford apparently had no setbacks with his thumb injury, so hopefully that will be a good sign for him. But Vegas has the Lions as only 2.5-point underdogs. They have the second highest implied total of the week, and they're expected to compete with this Houston Texans team. Now, the Texans do have a bottom 10 offense. Bottom 10 defense, excuse me. The Lions defense also not very intimidating. Personally, I like the Houston Texans minus 2.5 in this game. And I know what you're thinking. Short intermission. Sam, I've been following you from the beginning. You never bet on spreads. So why are you mentioning spreads? And I do want to have this caveat. When I mention spreads, I only usually bet on player props. I've built an artificially intelligent algorithm. You can find it in the WalterPicks app that's identified exploitable player prop picks, over 170 picks, over 68% accuracy on 170 picks dating back to the beginning of last year. So I have a positive ROI with that, so that's where I put my money. But Thanksgiving is an exception because I have a tradition with my brother. We put $20 on each spread. I would be going with the Houston Texans minus 2.5. I think their offense is significantly better than the Detroit Lions offense, and I like taking the best quarterback in a game. On to the second game of the day, which is the Washington football team versus the Dallas Cowboys. The Washington football team is coming off a dominant win against the Cincinnati Bengals, though Joe Burrow did get injured in that game. Antonio Gibson's coming off his second 90-plus yard rushing day of the season, and we know how good of a receiver he is. It's been very frustrating how involved J.D. McKissic has been in the passing game when we know Antonio Gibson is the best receiving back on the team. But Antonio Gibson ranks as the running back 14 in Walter's projections this week. He is a running back 1/2 in this game against the Dallas Cowboys. Meanwhile, Terry McLaurin's probably the most impressive player on this offense. I think any top 10 wide receiver list that leaves out Terry McLaurin, we're going to be coming out with our top 10 lists very soon. We're going to be releasing those on YouTube and TikTok, I believe. But McLaurin, guys, he's had 7+ targets in every single game this season, and he has proven to be both quarterback proof and matchup proof. He's a top 10 option at the wide receiver position this week, according to Walter's machine learning projections. And last but not least, the Washington football team's defense, it is underrated. They have performed very well this season. They looked great last week, even though, again, the Bengals offense wasn't anything to write home about, especially once Joe Burrow went down. Now, on the other side of the ball in this game, we have the Dallas Cowboys, who are trending in the right direction. They're coming off of their best offensive day since the Dak Prescott injury. RIP. The O-line is looking much better. Zeke ranks, by the way, as the number 4 running back for Walter in Week 12, the highest he's been since the Dak injury, because he's averaging the 7th most rushing attempts, the 5th most targets. He has a top 5 workload at the running back position. With the offensive line improving now, that's a very encouraging sign for Zeke Elliott. He could end up being a league winner in fantasy football. And the big question here is Andy Dalton good enough to compete against this good of a defense? The Dallas Cowboys were able to produce against a pretty bad Vikings defense, but will they be able to produce against a better Washington football defense? That is going to be the big question mark in this game, in my opinion. One of CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper is probably going to have a big game. Michael Gallup has really started to fade as the clear wide receiver 3 in the offense, but he's still low-key a really good wide receiver. This game has an over-under of 46. The Cowboys are 3-point favorites. I do like the Cowboys in this game. I think they have the better offense, and therefore I like them in the game. I tend to side with offense over defense. The Cowboys have a much worse defense than the Washington football team. But if Dalton and the boys are able to put up some points against this Washington defense, which I think they can, then they will be victorious and they will probably cover the 3-point spread. On to the last game of the day, which is the most exciting game, the Baltimore Ravens versus the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, we got to run through this, and again, I'm recording this early Tuesday morning, so there will be more news as we get closer to the games. But as of right now, Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins are on the COVID list, and with the short week, they're probably not going to be able to play in this game, assuming that the game happens and the breakout does not continue, which makes Gus Edwards a top 15 running back in fantasy football this week. Gus Edwards and Justice Hill likely to lead this backfield, but I think Gus Edwards is probably going to get at least 65% of the work. Justice Hill really has been a disappointment since entering the league. He's an exciting athlete, but has not seen any sort of consistent volume since he's entered the league. So I do think Gus Edwards is going to see at least 65% of the work. Then we have Lamar Jackson in this game, who has really had a down season compared to his MVP season last year, though I still think he has a higher floor than people realize. The ceiling really hasn't been quite as high as last year. The touchdowns have been way, way down compared to last year. I mean, he had a historically good touchdown rate last year. That was due to regress, but he did lead all quarterbacks with 13 rushing attempts last week, and that gives him a very high floor. The Steelers' defense is good, but Lamar's a lock for at least 15 points, and this is going to be a really interesting game because the strength of the Baltimore Ravens is the run. That's their strength, and the weakness of the Steelers' defense is defending the pass, and they're really good, very good. Top 3 defense in the NFL in terms of defending the run, and they're without Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins. So this is kind of matching up as a weakness versus strength matchup for the Baltimore Ravens. So they're really going to be able to need to pass the ball to keep up in this game. And let's talk about Hollywood Brown for a second, because Hollywood Brown, one of the biggest disappointments of the season so far, he's been probably one of the biggest busts of the year. He's coming off a game in which he had more drops than receiving yards. 0 receiving yards, I think 2 drops. The secondary of the Steelers, again, has been their weakness. So Mark Andrews, who's a top 5 tight end for Walter this week, and Marquise Brown, they're going to have to step up to keep up with the Steelers in this game. On the Steelers side of the ball, Deontay Johnson, as we've been saying all season, and Walter has had Deontay Johnson as a top 15 wide receiver basically every week that Deontay Johnson has played. The reason is Deontay Johnson has over a 25% target share in every single game that he has played healthy this season. That you cannot say that about very many wide receivers in the NFL. He is the clear wide receiver 1 for the Steelers, while Juju is doing the dirty work in the slot, taking those tough catches over the middle, while Chase Claypool is just a touchdown scoring machine for the Steelers. He's scoring a touchdown on over 20% of his catches, the second highest rate in the NFL behind only Adam Thielen among all receivers with at least 50 targets. The over-under in this game is 45, which was surprising to me. I thought this over-under should probably be higher than the first game with the Lions and the Texans. I guess they trust these defenses to keep this score low. The Steelers are 4-point favorites, and this is the spread I'm probably least confident in today, but if I had to pick, I'm going with the Steelers as 4-point favorites. I think that they match up well with the Ravens. The Steelers should be able to stop the run of the Ravens, and if the Ravens aren't going to be able to pass the ball down the field, if Marquise Brown can't break out of his slump, could be a tough day for the Baltimore Ravens. So that is it for my Thanksgiving takes, guys. It's going to be a very fun Thanksgiving. And last but not least, I know a lot of you came here for the free player prop pick of the week, and I'll be giving one away again on TikTok Live. But the free player prop pick of the week this week on Thanksgiving, going to be some fun player props going on Thanksgiving. Got to download the WalterPicks app in the iOS App Store for all of our player prop picks. But one free one for you right now. Will Fuller, he's for sure going over 61 receiving yards. Will Fuller has immense upside. Like we said, his 90th percentile outcome in this game, he could see a 25 to 40% target share, especially if Kenny Stills and Brandon Cooks are out. This is one of those you're going to want to lock in as early as possible in the beginning of the week. Will Fuller, for sure, going over 61 yards. Walter has that at a 70% probability. He has him projected for 80 receiving yards in this game, especially if Brandon Cooks and Kenny Stills are out. So there's your free player prop pick of the week. And guys, have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Enjoy the day. Whoever you're with, be grateful that you're with them. I'm certainly grateful for everyone that I'm going to be with today. Enjoy the football. I'm grateful that we have football today. There was a chance, guys, that the NFL was not going to last this long in this horrible year of 2020. So I'm grateful that there's football on today. I hope you are as well. Thank you so much for watching. Definitely hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button if you're watching as well. We appreciate you very much. We passed 1,000 YouTube subscribers thanks to all of you in under 10 days. So been a lot of fun on YouTube, and appreciate the follows on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram as well. You can always find us at WalterPicks. Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone.